So thank you guys so much for being here for the February edition of CART Conversations, a meeting of CART volunteers every month where we share some best practices, some new ideas that folks have. We give you some updates on what's going on, and a lot of what you're going to hear tonight, some of it will be reiterations of what we announced in January because there's some continuing projects going on, but we also have a special guest speaker with us tonight as well, as we try to do every month to hear some different ideas. So I appreciate you all being here tonight. I mentioned earlier before we started, but just as a reminder, our board president, Carol Burdett, is in India this week on a National Immunization Day trip. So she is not with us, but she sends her good wishes. We have two past board presidents on here tonight, so we are in good hands. If I screw anything up, they will be happy to take care of that for us, I'm sure. So Bill Parker and Rod Funderburk are here, and some other board members as well. So we appreciate all that you guys are doing for us. So as you may recall, back in July of last year, at the beginning of our fiscal year, we decided to do a to-do task list, basically a dashboard, a challenge, if you will, issue a monthly challenge. So I'm going to review those really quickly with what they have been up until now. If you have not done one of them yet, there is still time to do that. If you would like for me to email you this entire list because you don't want to take notes, I'm happy to do that as well. And in fact, maybe I'll add it to our resource page on our website. If you are interested in that, you can let me know. But in July of last year, we asked our district chairs to meet with their district governor to talk about their goals for the year so that they have something to work towards. And that's something that a club CART chair can do as well, to talk to their club president, because of course you can enter goals in the CART portal. In August, we talked about introducing yourselves to the clubs. If you're a district chair, creating a committee in DACTB, setting up a P-mail so that you can easily contact and communicate with all of the club chairs in the district. If you are a club chair, just setting that up with a regular communication to your own club. And then in September, we talked about, do you have a competition in your district? Do you have some sort of encouragement or rally cry to get folks in your district to have a little competition amongst themselves? And some of the ones that many clubs and districts do are things like most total giving for the year, most per capita giving, and most members of the Roger Ackerman Circle, which is our recurring donor program. Those are three easy ways. You may also want to look at growth, which club grew the most in giving in the last year. Maybe you want to recognize the top 3 clubs that grew percentage wise, or it is truly up to each individual district how you want to do awards. That is not something that we do. What we do on behalf of CART is recognize clubs that give $10,000 or more. Those will be recognized at the annual meeting, and also the top 3 clubs in giving and the top 3 districts in giving. And all the clubs that give 10,000 or more are going to be recognized as a Spirit of CART Awards next year. So if your club is looking for a little recognition, or maybe if you need something to push them a little bit more to step outside their comfort zone, that is a way that you can look at doing that. You can let them know that there will be recognition next year. This year, gosh, it's 2026. I apologize. Some recognition in July for the clubs that finish this fiscal year at $10,000 or more. And I think there's going to be a lot. So that's exciting. And if you have questions about any of these, let's make a note, put them in the chat, whatever you want to do, and we will talk about them at the end because we have some time available to go over these. And if you want some ideas of some of the awards that districts do, we can talk about that as well. In October, the challenge was to showcase some donors, to find out which donors, either in your club or in your district, are willing to let you spotlight them, that they're okay with their gift not being known as anonymous, and spotlight not necessarily how much they gave, but why they gave. Do they have a personal story? Do they have a personal connection? Is there a reason that CART is so important to them that if you share that story, it might inspire others? And then in November, we asked you to support social media, whether it's following all of the CART pages and accounts, or maybe it's sharing something on your personal pages or sharing something from our pages. And a lot of folks ask me when I have the post, you may see daily, there are at least one, sometimes two posts a day of clubs that have given $500 or more, and individuals. And then there are some other things that we share as well, like people when they're getting their pins as a member of the Roger Ackerman Circle or the Changemaker Awards and things like that. But oftentimes I will tag a district. And sometimes I will tag a club, but sometimes not. Keep in mind, I can't tag someone who isn't following us. So if you, it can encourage your district or club to also follow us. That will help in that as well. And then in December, we talked about the research because that's who we are. That's what we do. That's what makes us unique, are these seed grants. And we encourage you to share some of the stories that we post on our accounts about the research. Look up some of the ones on our website from our researchers who have done stuff. And the question came up as to how do I determine whether I'm going to share new research about Alzheimer's and dementia? Some of you may recall, some of you may have missed that. And it's an easy answer for me. I only share the research projects that are directly tied back to one of our researchers. So if there is a new result that comes out, unless it is, the end all cure, I'm not going to share every research project that is out there because, as you all know, and if you don't, set up a Google alert with a search, and you will get. That's right, Bill Parker. You will get tens or 20 of them every single day. And so that is a way for us to really monitor what we're sharing. And it is projects that have been published and funded, published by some of our former CART researchers. And that's kind of our measuring stick. But we encourage you to share those in your district newsletters, in your club newsletters, on your social media accounts. And then last month, your challenge was to talk to your district governor about being involved in pre-pets or pets. And I'm going to use the word pets. We know some folks call them pals, but for simpler purposes, we're going to go with pets today. And finding out, if you're a district chair, can you have a presence in your district breakout? Can you have a handout that is given either at a training or a district meeting? Will they give you 5 minutes to stand up and tell everyone who you are as the district chair? Can you have buckets there to give out to people? All of those things. It might be your assembly, training assembly. It might be mid-year assembly. Every district calls it something different. It might be a PETS. And it might be now also district conferences, which are also coming up in the spring. And now is a good time to make sure that you are prepared for that. We do have a limited number of full pop-up banners and tablecloths that we are willing to share and track around and ship around to different people. They are kind of strategically located in different districts, and we can get one of those to you if you give me enough time and notice. And always, if you would like to order one to keep in your district at all times, you can find those on our website on the shop page. Some of our vendors do offer that. So we're now at February. Can you believe it? We are already in, that makes month 8 of our fiscal year. And tonight we're going to talk about your challenges, district support. Now, I don't mean what we get from the district. I mean what you get from the district. So I want you to think about tag teaming with other district leaders, because what you do as the district CART chair is not meant to be a solo project. So, how can you partner with the public image chair to make sure that you have something in the newsletter? How can you partner with whoever does your website to make sure that the information on there is correct? And just as an aside, one of the ways that we have found the easiest way to make sure your information about CART is correct on your website is just to have them have a link to ours, because ours is constantly updating. If they cut and paste and put a paragraph on their website for your district that says, we have given out $11 million, well, that is now 3 years old and they are not going to update it regularly. So we want to make sure they have the most up-to-date information. So a link is always the easiest. But how can you get a message out to encourage year-end giving, to have a push to finish the year strong? How can you get your district leaders to lead by example? And maybe that means signing up as recurring donors, at members of the Roger Ackerman Circle, presenting them with a pin, getting a picture of that, putting that in a newsletter. Glenda Kessler's district, she's on here. All of her district governor line have signed up as recurring donors, and they've been working on on that. Every time a new person is added, they work with that person to help them get added on as a new donor as well. So photo ops, things like that are really important. And if then they promote their contributions, then that will encourage others to follow. And Andy Dent Taylor's district governor, she's on there, and Bronwyn's, Alpo, when he came to do his official visit at my club, he brought his piggy bank and we did a video of him pouring it into the cart bucket, to show what he was doing. So anything you can do like that to get some district support, would be really great. All right, so those are our challenges for this year up to date. Does anybody have any questions or comments or concerns or ideas that you want to do about that before we introduce our speaker? Suzanne, do you have a question or you're just no?
No.
Okay.
Hey, Tiffany.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm not on, but I mean,
That's
I'm
okay.
on, but I'm not on. Where is there a place? I mean, I've seen it, but is there a place to find the monthly challenges?
No, but that's what I was saying. I'm happy to email it out to everyone, to anyone
Okay,
that wants
sorry.
it. Or I was thinking I could put it on our resource page if you guys want to just download it from there.
That sounds great.
My grandiose idea last summer was to put it in a dashboard Excel file where you could check off if you did something, and that just hasn't happened yet. But
You're such a slacker.
I know, right? I know. Does that mean you're volunteering to do it? No, I'm just kidding. But would it be helpful if I uploaded that to the resource page on the website?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. I'm writing myself a note. What other questions?
This is Cara. I've got a question. So when you record this on Zoom, do you also transcribe it and send it out?
I've not been doing that.
Because all that would be transcribed for you. I've been using that tool and it is the bomb. So just
That's a good
throwing it out
point.
there, my friend.
I like that idea.
Because
I
you
should write
just
that
went through,
on
you
it.
just went through in like 7 minutes more things than I could even keep up with.
Yeah. Okay. So using the transcription from Zoom, I'm gonna write myself a note. I wonder if you can start it after you've already started the meeting, or do you have to do it before you start? Does anybody know that?
Yeah.
Let's
If you
just
go
look real quick and see.
Say record and transcribe, or that's
Huh. Okay, I'll go back and look at that. That's a
Okay.
great point, Cara. Thank you. Okay, any other questions? I see so many new people here tonight. Ken, it's good to see you from up north. We're glad you're here. And Janine, of course, is on her phone in the car. So she's up north as well, where it's really cold in Merlin, all the way out in Idaho. We know you are a different time zone from us, so we appreciate you logging in as well. All right, so I want to introduce you guys to a friend of mine who is in the same district as me. Bronwyn Tally Coffee is a member of the Rotary Club of Waynesville. Yes, and Bronwyn is very active in our district, as the district polio chair, but she's also a huge supporter of CART. And she was at she participated in the Emerging Leaders Program last year. She is very active and involved with Rotary Leadership Institute, RLI, and she even won the CART door prize in Jacksonville last year, which was a highly sought after prize, I might add. I think I have a few of those left. I got to figure out how to best use those. Maybe it should be as a fundraiser. I'm just saying, because everybody wanted one. But Bronwyn is also a huge supporter of CART, and she is a member of the Roger Ackerman Circle, and we're going to get her pin very soon. But her club has a very unique fundraiser, and I asked her to join us tonight to talk about that as our fundraising idea of the month, because as you may recall, every month we try to give you a different idea of something that has worked in another club, maybe in another district, just to give you some ideas. And so, Bronwyn, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you, Tiffany. I'm so glad that you asked me to come. And can everybody hear me okay? Great. Okay. So I wanted to share with you a fundraiser that we did in October, and it was actually for polio. And you're thinking, well, that's polio. What about CART? Well, this fundraiser works so well that I feel like that I could share it, and you can use it anywhere for anything. It's actually a unique twist on on doing a yard sale, actually. So I'm going to start out by telling you how this came about. So Vic Dossie, who is, I think Vic's 94 now, he is our Polio Plus chair in our Waynesville Club. And he has been our Polio Plus chair for years. And he was actually, him and his wife, Kay, who was actually our first female president in our club, they were purging out their garage because they said that their kids just didn't want to inherit all their stuff. And I was having the same issue. And so I told Vic, I'm having the same thing. I'm cleaning out my basement right now. I said, it's kind of like I'm purging everything. And we looked at each other and the light bulb went off and we were like, purge for polio. And that's what we did. So we set up this, we wanted to do a huge yard sale. And so it ended up being an indoor flea market. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit of how we went about setting this up and why it was so successful for us. And at the end, you have to stay tuned. I'll tell you how much that we made in that fundraiser. So the first thing I would recommend when you're finding a fundraiser that you want to do is create interest and excitement in your area. Okay, not every area is the same. Now we're up in the mountains of Western North Carolina. Oh my gosh, my cat's behind me. I'm sorry, please ignore him. Sorry about that. So we're in the mountains of Western North Carolina. We're so close to Tennessee that's how far west we are. And so it's very rural. And we also were affected by Hurricane Helene. So our I guess challenge has been, how do you fundraise in an area that's still trying to recover? And so that's why we decided that we needed to find something unique. During the month of September, when we talked about this fundraiser, we knew that Polio Month was in October. So we started right away. We put this together in 2 months. You can do this a whole lot further in advance. But what we were thinking about was people in our area were still trying to refurnish their homes, rebuild their lives. What were they looking for? They were going to yard sales. They were picking up things. A lot of people don't like the handout, but they will buy things cheaply at a yard sale or flea market. And so that's why we went that route. They're a big draw in our area. Now, I know there's other areas, and I'll shout out to Andy Taylor down at Denver Lake Norman. I believe y'all did a wine and cheese tasting down there, and it was very successful as well. I know the Asheville Rotary Club does galas. So these things bring in a lot of money, so everybody has different ideas. The second item on my list that I would say is most important is your location. You need to consider the size you need. We needed a large building. We needed a lot of tables so that we could put all these items out. Had to have a checkout area for people to come up and check out their new treasures. Did we want it indoor or outdoor? Well, it's October and it's a yard sale, so weather could be iffy. So we wanted an indoor location. And we wanted something that was easily accessible, plenty of parking, and lots of traffic. You want your event to be seen and easy to find. And once you have that location, you can check the cost of renting the spot, how early you can get in to do your setup, how long you have to tear it down, and any hidden costs like trash haul-off fees, cleanup services, that kind of thing. So we found a large building. This building actually holds its own monthly indoor yard sale in our community. And so it was the perfect location. Everybody already knows that yard sales are there, so we were going to capitalize on that. And the manager actually found out what we were doing it for. We shared that it was for polio, and they actually discounted our nonprofit rate by 1/3. And they took that extra $200 that they were going to discount and told us to put that back into our polio fundraiser. So that share alone got us a little extra money to get started. Now, third, you want to choose a date. And this is very, very important because when you're holding a fundraiser, you want to make sure that you're not competing with a large festival or another charity event in your area. Now, October is leaf looking season for us. And so we have a lot of tourists passing through. So we wanted to capitalize on that because they're always looking for things to do. But we also didn't want to have to compete with a larger event that most of the people were going to be there. The fourth thing is promoting your event. You need to have a budget for your advertising. We did not. So we were relying on Rotarians to actually kind of fund our publicity. You don't, the biggest thing is flyers. I know printing flyers, we're killing trees, I understand, but it still is the thing that they see in a shop window. They see it on a post office bulletin board, and every Rotarian can have them with them, and they can pass them out to family, friends, and neighbors. We had arranged with a local paper, which is a free publication for residents. It cost us to advertise, but it's free for residents. And they were actually putting that paper monthly in 25,000 residents' mailboxes. So buying a quarter-page ad for $250 was a no-brainer because 25,000 people in the community was going to see that. And I have to give a shout out to past District Governor Sean Gibson, because the day of the event, we got really scared of what if we have to take all this stuff home. So we actually asked him if he could throw it out on local radio. So be sure to do that well in advance and see if you can get a charitable shout out on the radio. Every member in your club is probably on social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or anything. Have them share it on their page months and at least a month in advance. I would say twice a week at least. Every other day is what we were doing. And we wanted everybody, their friends and family, to see it and share it on their page. And we got a lot of publicity that way. We had it in our club's newsletter, our club's website, and we actually put it on the website calendar, and you can do that both locally and district. The biggest thing, and you remember I said you want to be visible, you want to be in a high traffic area. The reason for that is you want to make sure that you have large legible signs directing people to your event. Now we have these A-frame sign holders that hold these thick foam boards that are printed at our local print shop, and they would direct everybody which direction that they were going, where they were going to turn. And those we actually reuse every year. We don't print a date on them. We just have like an arrow that says this direction. It's the difference on both sides. And we invest in that, and then we reuse them. That way, then we're saving a little bit of money. And for this, we just put a little tent on the top that said indoor flea market today. And then they could see that it was going this way. When I walked around and talked to a lot of people and I asked them, hey, we really appreciate you coming out to the event. How did you hear about us? Most people said, I drove by and saw the sign. So that tells you right there that you need to be in a high traffic area, great location, good signage. The event planning, of course, is your most important. And you need to do this at least a month or two in advance. You want your members to know when the date is. Save that date. Don't want them, making something over the top of that and saying, oh, I didn't know, so now I can't come, because you need all those volunteers. And so you want to go ahead and set that list up ahead of time. And you can actually, and I'll tell you in just a minute how you're going to break that down. I had gone ahead and gone on Amazon and bought price stickers. And so I was telling all the Rotarians, go purge your neighbor's house, have your neighbor purge their house, wherever you got to get the items from. But you need to price them before you bring them. We don't want to be trying to price thousands of items the day of the event. So that was crucial for us. So I actually gave those price stickers out for free at the meetings, and everybody came and got them. And I have to admit, we did not have to price items when we got there. Everybody already had it done. We ordered large and small bags off of Amazon, just plastic bags. And these are for small items, and the big ones were for things like sheets and pillows and blankets and things that people were buying. And we wanted to give them something to get them home safely. And those, if you buy them in bulk on Amazon, it's a little bit cheaper. You need a cash box for your checkout stations, and you also need change, and your treasurer can probably help you out with that. Um, you'll mostly need ones, fives, tens, and 20s. People will give you $100 bill. You just hope that they spend close to the $100 to where you're not having to give them a lot of change back. So have somebody in the club that can take PayPal or Venmo, because we had a lot of people that said, I'll buy more if you'll take a credit card. And I said, we have PayPal and Venmo. And so they would use my account. And then at the end of the day, I wrote a check or gave the cash into the kitty. And that's how we covered that. You need markers, pens, tape, scissors, and a portable safe. We kept a safe to where we could take money out of the cash boxes, put them in a bank bag, take them to the safe that was located in an office area that was locked. You have to be very careful with your cash because it really adds up quickly. Now, the first thing you want to do with your volunteer sign up is you've got to break it down. You're going to set up the working event, clean it up, and actually work in the event itself. So you can break those down into more specific assignments as members sign up. So you want them to sign up to help, and then you can start assigning them morning or afternoon. We did our event from 7 to 1 only. Everyone knew their assignment before they came, and you need one person that's in charge at the event. So they find that person, and that person directs them to their assigned area. And it can be anybody's. They can be checking out at the front, helping bag items and carry them to the car, anything like that. They could actually just be walking around and answering questions and help people. When we were setting up the event, though, everybody was there, and they were unloading vehicles, bringing the boxes in, designated areas. We had kitchenware over here, maybe clothes and shoes in the back. We had power tools and everything over on this side, pet stuff in there, furniture in the middle. We had it all planned out. And as those items came in, we directed them to the right areas. And then we had people in those areas that were putting those items out on the tables. This was all done the day before, because at 7 o'clock the next morning, 6:30, I turned on the lights, and at 7 o'clock we opened the doors and we were ready to go. I'm going to tell you this, and I can speak from experience, because this particular event ended up not being a whole committee that did it. A lot of it fell on me, and it's absolutely exhausting. And so my biggest recommendation is you need to have a committee. You need to have people that are working on different aspects of this and doing their part to make this a whole lot easier. You don't want to wear out one person and then they don't ever want to do this event again because they're like, it's just too hard. So try to have a committee and set that up a few months ahead of time. When you're exhausted, the last thing you want to do is break this down and clean it up. So you need a crew just for that alone. You're going to pack all the unwanted items back in boxes. Save your boxes that they brought the stuff in, because you got to pack some of this back up. And then we actually arranged for trucks, trailers to come in, and we loaded certain items, whether it be clothing or housewares, and they were donated to pre-arranged charities throughout our community. 8 other local charities benefited from our leftovers, and that was a big deal. So we actually did more of not only a community event for the people shopping, and it actually benefited our club and polio, but we also helped 8 other organizations that day. In the end, we raised $11,000 off of an indoor flea market. And you set it up the day before, and you have the event, and at 1 o'clock you start tearing it down, and it's donated, and you're home by about 5 o'clock. It's a big undertaking, but it's easier if it's broke down. And I can definitely send these steps to Tiffany and let her send these out to you. I will tell you 2 things that I learned not to do. 1, you don't need a food truck. We tried to do a food truck and concessions. People aren't eating when they're shopping. They could care less about food. So that was the one thing I would say, you don't need it. Don't even think about it. And the second thing is, you need that committee. it is something that just is not going to work unless you have support and teamwork. That's key. So have fun, enjoy the experience, make lots of money, and put all of that toward the CART fund. And I think that you're going to see a big difference in how much money you can make just thinking outside the box. So Tiffany, thank you again for having me today.
Thank you. I love it when someone says, I have an idea, and then they do something totally different than they've ever done before. And this is definitely an example of that. And I don't know about you guys, but one of the things I picked up on as I was listening to Bronwyn's step-by-step ideas, I thought those are critical steps for every fundraiser you do. It doesn't matter if it's an indoor flea market or if it is a donut sale. I mean, it's having a committee, advertising it to get people there, having time to set up, having a good venue, checking the date. Those are things that we should be looking at for every single event we do. So those were really, really good tips, Bronwyn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have questions for her or comments or thoughts? Andy.
Sorry, Bronwyn, great job, by the way. But you mentioned having like other methods of paying. I mean, a club, could they just
Yes.
have the club set up on like a Square or a Stripe account, and that'll just make it that much easier?
Yes, they
There's no
can. And we
conflict
actually,
with the 501c3 stuff.
not that I saw. The treasurer could have set that up. Our executive secretary is our treasurer, so he could have set that up for us. I'll be really honest with you, it wasn't something that I thought about in advance. And when the lady came up and said, "Do you take PayPal?" I almost panicked. And then I thought, well, I can take PayPal through my account. And then I actually showed my PayPal, everybody that had done it, I showed that to my treasurer. And I said, this is the amount it comes to. Here's the check for the PayPal. And that's what I did on the memo, because we were trying to make it very transparent that I hadn't taken any money that I wasn't supposed to. Also, somebody else had the Venmo account, and we did the exact same thing. I
Okay, do you
I
know about
definitely would
Apple Pay?
recommend your club do it.
Like Apple Pay, like I know we're getting more and more away from having cash or checks or or even a credit card. I mean, and everybody has their payment method on their phone. Well, a lot of people, not everybody. And I'm new to it. So, like, is there a way that, like for CART, can people give through Apple Pay or something like that on
You
its
know,
own?
So I can answer the question about CART, but
I'll
I will
let
let
Tiffany
Bronwyn
do
talk
that.
about, with your event. So we are not set up to accept money from Apple Pay or Venmo or any other system other than credit cards and EFT transfers at this point. I don't know that that would ever change. However, obviously scanning the QR code on the side of the bucket takes them directly to the website where they can then make a donation. And I mentioned this briefly last month, but we are also working on a new app that will be coming out, that will make it much easier for people to make a donation versus all of those steps that we go through now that are not necessarily mobile friendly. And I will add to sorry, that's someone else coming in. I wanted to make sure I let Tammy in. I was going to add something to that. What was the other thing I was going to say about money coming in? Oh my gosh, I completely lost it. I'm so sorry. It was all Tammy's fault. It's her fault because I was letting her in and
Damn
I
it, Tammy.
completely forgot. We were talking about money coming in, PayPal, Venmo, the app. Oh, I know what it was. Okay. Sorry, squirrel. And now we're going to pause because this is where Tiffany will edit out her little moment. And then the other thing is that if you use the finance module through DACDB, you can actually take payments through the Inspire app and things like that as well. So if your club does have the finance module, that's another way that you can accept payments. And that's the new app that we're creating for CART is going to be set up very similar to that because DACDB is doing it for us. So there will be a way that you can click the button and make a payment. And it will already know who you are. So you won't have to go through that other login that we're doing now. So for Rotarians, it will be a little simpler, but that's a work in progress. We're working on that. But I don't foresee, I could be wrong, but I don't know that we would ever take Venmo, PayPal, or or Apple Pay, but it's worth looking into. Um, we're still trying to convince people that it's okay. It's okay to put your credit card online. It's safe, we promise. And we don't store those numbers. So,
Thanks.
all right.
Bronwyn, do
Anything
you all
else?
have Apple Pay? No.
I do, but I mean, I
I
don't
meant
have Cash
Bronwyn
App.
from the
Oh,
event that she
sorry.
did. Did they have that? I'll look.
No.
I'm volunteering myself. I'll look into Apple Pay for how we can use that.
Mhm.
Let us know.
All right. Well, so I'm going to put her on the spot for a moment because she just logged in, past Governor Tammy, who's also one of our board members, along with Bill Parker, who was on the call, who is also in the new club that was just chartered. And I wanted them to just give us a brief update on the brand new Alzheimer's cause-based Rotary Club and how you guys can support them and how they can support CART as well. So Tammy, Bill, either of you want to just toss out a few minutes of an update there? I know Tammy's husband is the current president, which means Tammy's probably doing all the work. We know.
I'll let Tammy speak first, and then I've got a real crazy bit of information to share with you.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, I was like up to my eyeballs here in life insurance policies, and I looked up and I was like, oh no. So anyway, so yeah, we're so excited. We started this club actually as a satellite club of Hendersonville Four Seasons a couple of years ago. And we've just been trucking along like the little engine that could. And as we, gained members, people would say, oh, I wish I could be part of your club. And so some of the folks, I think Tiffany had told me, some other folks had told me about something called the Friends of Rotary. And so we developed this club, I don't know if you call it club or program, is more like it, for our Alzheimer's Club. We actually chartered December 31st, 2025. So we are a full freestanding charter Rotary Club of Alzheimer's Research now, and we are so excited. And we love the Ignite app. We use it, do all of our stuff through the Ignite app. We're even setting up a Friends of the Club through that as well. But what the Friends of the Club is say, for example, because our club is dedicated to providing funding and resources and supporting CART in any way that we can. As a matter of fact, I have a meeting coming up with Dr. Melinda Salenica. She wants to go over some things that maybe our club could do to help the research lab at the University of Kentucky. So that's the kind of things we're looking at. So anyway, the Friends program it's basically for someone who doesn't want to commit to Rotary membership, but wants to support our club financially. Or if you are a member of another Rotary club, you're already a Rotarian, we certainly don't want you to move your clubs, especially if you're happy. Now, if you're leaving Rotary and you're going to leave, that's a whole different story. We want to snag you up, but shameless plug there, Tiffany. But anyway, but say, for example, you love your club, but you just want to do a little something to support the Rotary Club of Alzheimer's Research. We have the Friends of Rotary program. It's a $25 per year membership into that. You are not a member of our club. You are a friend of our club. You retain your membership in your club, and then the money that comes into our club through the Friends of Rotary program, that money is then turned around, and our club voted to earmark that money to CART and CART causes. So, that's another way that you can help support our club, support CART, and support the researchers. So,
Yes, about 2 months ago, I mentioned that I was sharing the story of CART with non-Rotarians. And there's an elderly lady who resides at our retirement community, and she said, I would love to contribute to Alzheimer's research, but all I have is my father's coin collection. Would you be interested? I said, absolutely. So I got a big stack of coins, probably about $170 face value. And I contacted a numismatic dealer who I trust implicitly and said, see what you can do with this. He gave me a call last week and he said, just under $3,000. Just under $3,000. He says, I've got bids. I've all but sold the coins, and next week I'll bring you a check. That will go to CART. So talk about people whose parents might have coin collections somewhere that they're wondering, what could I do with this coin collection? That's a consideration. So I just wanted to share that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bill. And I will mention the fact that Bill is handling that is perfect. And then once they make the donation in the name of that woman, then she will get the tax receipt for the amount of cash that is contributed. CART Fund is set up to accept donations of real items versus just cash, but it's a very specific policy. We would never accept on our behalf the gift of the coins and then have to go through the process, but he's doing all the work for us. So that's the best part of it. It's a win-win for everyone. But we can accept stock, which we then turn around and sell. And there are certain other things. So if you have questions about that, feel free to reach out and ask us. Some of you may recall we did get a nice donation of stock in December, which we turned around and sold, and it hit the graphic leaderboard this month, in case you saw that. But that is fabulous, Bill. That just proves that he's just talking about something he's passionate about, and people are listening, and people want to help. People want to make a difference. So thank you for that. Bronwyn.
Bill, can you take things like artwork? I mean, if obviously you wouldn't sell, I don't know about selling their artwork, but do you work with people that maybe have an art collection?
No, I don't. I try and stick with piggy banks where people have jars, old jars somewhere, and nobody carries pocket change anymore. But they have collections of pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, stuffed away in a closet collecting dust. And I said, give it to me. I'll convert it to cash. I will put it into CART, and I will give you a tax receipt for your donation. So if it's something I can convert to cash, uh, the old coins just happen to be something. I'm with a stamp club, and the president of stamp club is a dealer in stamps and coins, and he's already converted my mother's coin collection, which was probably about $30 face value, to $200 for CART 3 years ago. So the idea was there. But art, I wouldn't touch. I would not mess with that at all. I know nothing about art.
So if somebody wanted to liquidate their own art collection, though, obviously we would take that cash value and put it toward CART.
Let them
Absolutely.
convert it to cash, take the cash contribution.
Yes.
That's the only way to go.
And I've
Mhm.
got a second question, Tiffany. Can Tammy share how Rotarians can sign up to be a friend of the Rotary Club?
That'd be great. Oh, she's got to unmute herself. She's working on it.
I know. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, to be a friend of the Rotary Club, we're trying to get that worked out to be able to do it online and through the app and all that. What I'll do, Tiffany, I'll just start it on a Google Doc and send it out, and that way they can go on their register, and that way someone will contact them and we can go from there. We already have a couple that are already in our friends list, but those were done over the phone. So I'll get a Google Doc set up, and I'll send that link out.
Great. Thank you. Yep. It's a work in progress. It's brand new. So
Yeah.
brand new. Wonderful. All right. So the next thing on our agenda for tonight, which is the last thing, and then we have time for questions if you guys have more, and a few announcements. Those will be the last two things. Is I wanted to give you a quick donor portal tip of the month, and really it's more of a refresher than it is of a tip of. It's going to be nothing it's not going to be something you've never heard, I don't think, but I am going to share my screen really quickly and show you if it has not logged me out yet. let's see. Okay, so let's just see if I'm still on. Okay, so if you go to mycartfund.org and log in using your DACTV login and your DACTV password. Now, mine may look a little different than yours because I have access to a lot more things. And I'm going to try to, you may have to move a picture out of the way or something. But what I wanted to show you was under make a contribution. One of the things that we are, let me just show you this first, that keep in mind this is what I wanted to show you. There are 3 different options at the top of the page. If it is a personal contribution, or if you're making a contribution on behalf of the entire club, for example, from a fundraiser, from the little blue buckets that's been collected, or if it is a district contribution, meaning that it was collected at the district conference or at an assembly or something like that, or if your district is making a donation in honor of someone, that kind of thing. If you select a personal gift, then it will send the email receipt to the person who is making the personal gift. It will also roll up into the cumulative total of whatever club that person is a member of, which means that club's total also rolls up into the cumulative total for that entire district. If you select a club donation, then it will roll up to the district total. All right, so I just want to make sure that everybody understands that, because people ask me all the time, I want my club to get credit. Well, if you are a member of a club and you make a personal contribution, it will roll up into your club's cumulative total. And that shows up when you go to reports. If you look at a district report, and I'm going to use District 7670 because that is the one that I'm in, and there are a lot of us folks on here. And y'all ignore these numbers at the top. Apparently, our district is the only one that's doing funky things right now, and we have a support ticket and we're working on that. I have no idea where this money goes. It probably goes into some club, but I don't know which one yet. But so if you are a member of the Boone Sunrise Club and you make a contribution, well, let's say Avery County Club, and you make a contribution this month of $65, it totals for year to date, but it also adds up to the entire total for the district. Okay, but your individual gift shows up in your club total, and then the club totals are cumulative for your district. Does that make sense to everyone? Now, if you are okay, and now let me tell you one of the reasons I want to reinforce this topic is that we handle a lot of money. I'm about to send out the financial statements to our board tonight. We have raised through the first 7 months almost $3 million this year. We have in our checking accounts right now, not just in our checking accounts, that's probably not exactly correct, but with our investments and everything else, we're not sitting on this kind of money in a checking account. I don't want you to panic. We have everything FDIC insured in different accounts. But as of today, we have almost $5 million in investments and income this year. Now we're paying out grants and stuff too, but we are in the midst of an audit with the CPA firm, so that we can show our donors that we are being good stewards. And it's a standard nonprofit audit. There's nothing unusual about it. Every nonprofit does one. We have a meeting tomorrow morning with the CPA to talk about some of their findings, their preliminary findings. One of which we already know is that we don't have a lot of processes written down in place. And so we're working on that. We have a committee that's creating all new policies and procedures. But one of the issues that makes us really unique from any other nonprofit is the number of people who handle money. From each and every one of you who make donations on behalf of clubs or individuals or districts, to all of us in our organization. And so in knowing that that is a something that we have to keep an eye on, I want to make sure that you are making these donations in the portal on your own if you can, and correctly, so that we don't have to go in and edit all of them, because then we have all these edit trails that we have to show. So I'm simply reminding us all, myself included, that this is the process that we need to be doing. So if you are a club chair and you collect the money out of the little blue bucket, it is either you or the club treasurer that is taking the cash. You're either putting it in your checking account, or you're taking it to the bank and getting cash for all the coins, or you're putting it into the club checking account and then making a donation. If you make a donation on behalf of a club, all right, stay with me here. If you make a contribution on behalf of a club, the email receipt will come to you. Okay. It's not going to go to the club. It's going to come to you. So it then is on you to share that email receipt with someone in the club, either the treasurer, the secretary, the president, so that they have a record of it. I get a copy of it as well. But no one else in the club other than the person that makes it. What that means is, if every time you guys get a check from a club, you mail it to me, then the club gave it to you, then you mailed it to me, and then I deposited it, and then I transferred the email to, and we have now 3 people handling money instead of 1. So we're trying to make sure that we are making this as simple as possible. So if you make a club contribution, if you are a district chair, you have the ability to make that club contribution with that check in your hand. Please remember, once you do that, do not mail me the check and tell me to deposit it. Because when I do that, it clears twice. And I can tell you that because we know it happens, because then we have to issue refunds. Rod is nodding. We've been explaining to someone why we have a $5,000 debit out of our account, because we had to refund because someone deposited it in the portal and then mailed it to me. And then what did I do? I deposited it. That's what I thought they want me to do. So we don't want you to mail me the check. However, we do want you to save the check. Write yourself a little note, maybe print that receipt that you got via email, staple the check to it, write yourself a note, and hold on to it. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to ask you to hold on to it for a year, because if we get audited, we need that check. Now, at some point in the next year, we may say, when you have a whole stack of those, if you want to send them to me and I'll put them in a file folder for you, or the next time you see me, you want to bring them all to me. I'm not asking you to save bukus. That was my mother's favorite word. Bukus of files and bukus of pieces of paper forever. I'm happy to take those and do something with them. But what happens is, now the auditors will go through our records and they will randomly select certain donations and say, we want to see a copy of that check. And I have to figure out who has it, So, and there's nothing wrong. The auditors are not upset. There's nothing negative. It's just the way we do business is different from everyone else. So if you are a district chair, there is a little bit of responsibility on you to help us hold on to those checks, and then at some point get them to me if you want to, and we'll put them aside and we'll handle that. Now, if you are a club chair, again, now the option is to do it via EFT, and then you don't have to hold on to a physical check. And that is really what we want to encourage people to do. Now, we recognize during the conversation we just had a few minutes ago that not many people write checks anymore, but y'all would be surprised how many people say, no, I need to write you a check. I need a paper check to clear the bank. Well, if you mail me a paper check, I'm still depositing it in the portal and I'm putting that check in my drawer. So you're not getting your check back. So we just need to make sure that everybody understands we're trying to limit the number of people who handle money and checks. And the easiest way to do that is to do the EFT. They don't even have to write a check. They can use the checking account number and the routing number. Of course, they can use a credit card or debit card if they want. It costs a little bit more. It's cheaper for us, less expensive on us if they use the EFT. So obviously, there are extreme exclusions, only a few exclusions to this policy, this procedure. And so I'll remind you again of what they are. And I'm happy to answer questions after this. But if it is a check from an IRA account, a distribution, like a required minimum distribution, or if it is a charitable foundation, sometimes those, or if it is a check for $10,000 or more, those cannot be entered in the portal. They have to be taken to the bank. So we will have you send those to me and I will take care of that. And then I will enter it as a manual contribution in the portal. And then I'll handle making sure that person gets a thank you note in the mail. Does that make sense? Yes. Marion, you have a question? And then anybody else has questions, I'm happy to answer those.
I just want to make a comment. You might want to check with your auditor as to the period of time you need to keep those copies.
Right.
And then relay that to the club treasurers and stuff, because I just have a feeling that it's probably more than a year.
Absolutely agree. And that'll be part of our written process. And ideally, if they're doing it as an EFT transfer, then that's not an issue for us because we never had the paper check. We are holding on. I have 4 years worth since I took this role in a big drawer here at my house. And Rod has probably twice as many as I do. And so we really, as a district chair, we want you to encourage people to use the portal. That's really the point of this conversation, is that helps everyone. If you are a district chair and you can encourage and help train your club chairs or club treasurers to do it as an EFT transfer, whether it's every week after their club meeting, once a month, once a quarter, as soon as an event is over, that is ideally what we want because it makes it simpler for everyone. There are exceptions. There are reasons that people can't, as I said, deposit certain checks. And there are people who simply want to mail a check no matter what, and we will handle that. But for any opportunity that you have as a district chair to train the folks in your district to use the portal, that's what we want them to do. Andy, yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I had to
That's
find
okay.
my cube here.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it also will reduce quite a bit of liability. Like it's a lot. Like for even my own club, I'm not the club cart chair, but they give me the money. I deposit it. I have to account for that. I mean, there's a fiduciary duty here and an accountability that is very serious, and it's a lot. And when you're talking about like losing credibility over $60 because you didn't properly document it, it's just better if we have the clubs do it. And I know not everyone will, but
Right.
it just is a huge liability.
And you're exactly right. So thank you. And if we can get the message to our district chairs that this is the direction we really want to train people to do it, that's going to help tremendously. And the other piece of that, again, what is wrong with me? Keep thinking. I come up with an idea and then the fiduciary responsibility, she was so right on that. Oh, I know what it was. And again, I can edit that out. And the other thing we want to mention is that it not only does it diminish the number of people who are handling money, but we are no longer a nickel and dime organization. We are collecting millions of dollars in a year, and each and every one of us are, as Andy said, fiduciary responsible for the money. And we need to make sure that we are following all of those steps that are best practices. And, gone are the days of us, collecting $100, in a little blue bucket. It doesn't always happen that way anymore. And some clubs do. And there is nothing wrong with that. And I spoke to a club a few weeks ago and I said, your money that you collect in this little blue bucket is just as important as every other donation we get. And we are so grateful. But we also recognize that there are a lot of clubs that aren't doing it that way anymore. And we just have to recognize that we have to do our business differently than we may have ever done it before. And it's hard. We've been doing it this way for 30 years or 25 years. And then the last 5 years, we've had this online system, which is a learning process for everyone. But it's also allowed us the opportunity to grow the way we have as well. Rod, do you have anything to add to that about, especially, we really want to know, he's like, nope, not touching that one with a stick. That district club and personal is the one that we find errors in the most. And I will just say that there are a couple of bugs in the portal right now. We've got some support tickets in. So if we reach out to you or someone in your club or your district and say, hey, was this intended to be a club gift or was this intended to be a personal gift? It's oftentimes we're finding that it's defaulting back to club, even if you selected personal. And so we're working on that and we're trying to check. And so if an individual, is missing their reporting or something, let us know. We'll fix it. And if ever you think that there's a discrepancy on who gave what, just let us know. We can look into that. Yeah, it is now, of course, it's not January, it's February, but everybody wants their year-end giving reports for their taxes. Remember, they can go online and do that themselves. They can log into their account in the portal and print a list of all of their gifts. You can do that for someone in your district as well. But if you have trouble and can't do it, we are here to help. But you can do it if you will log in and look for it. We're happy to show you where that is. But really, my contributions, that's where you go to get your own, and you can download them and print them. All right, we've gone past 6:30. I apologize. What questions do you guys have?